From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Coming up on Cronkite News, the battle over DACA continues today with the debate for in-state tuition. We'll take you to the scene outside of the Arizona Supreme Court.
Also, global trade tensions and President Trump's attack on Amazon led to a major plunge in the markets.
And teachers are being recruited to combat the teacher shortage in Arizona. Why one teacher came out of retirement to help the cause.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Fortessa Latifi.
And I'm Nicole Gutierrez. Thank you for joining us. The DACA debate continues today as Dreamers continue to fight for justice, even after President Trump claims the DACA deal is dead. Cronkite News has team coverage across the nation regarding what comes next for Dreamers. We start with Cronkite News reporter Lillian Donahue.
Dozens of DACA students gathered at the Arizona Supreme Court today for a hearing in a case that could determine the fate of their in-state tuition. It happens at a time when President Donald Trump has tweeted multiple times about the program. But these students say they're not ready to give up the fight.
I believe that we will. I believe that we will win.
University DACA students and advocates spent Monday morning at the highest court in Arizona.
Is it over?
No.
Battling Attorney General Mark Brnovich to keep in-state tuition.
The state does not want us to have in-state tuition, so they sued the colleges. And now we are, at the courts fighting, saying that we do deserve to have this.
In 2006, Arizona voters passed a proposition barring undocumented students from receiving state-lowered tuition. But since then, the Maricopa Community College District has allowed students to pay in-state tuition, creating a rift between them and the state, prompting Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich to sue. Today, Brnovich says the issue is about enforcing the rule of law.
And quite frankly, our office has been fighting for lower tuition for everyone. And I think regardless of who you are or where you come from, we as a state have an obligation to make higher education affordable for everyone. That's what the Constitution requires. That's what our state law requires.
But Belen Sisa, a DACA student at Arizona State University, says it's not just about enforcing the law. She and other DACA students say they feel personally attacked by the Attorney General's lawsuit. Regardless, she says she wants the opportunity to give back to the state she's called home for 20 years.
The state of Arizona has invested in us. We are trying to invest back in the state of Arizona by continuing our education. We're not asking for special treatment. We're just asking to be treated equitably.
The critical court hearing comes after President Donald Trump continued his anti-DACA rhetoric this morning, tweeting, quote, "DACA is dead." Sisa says she won't be fazed by the president's words and has confidence in the justice system.
We will continue to stay here and fight back no matter what his tweets say, because tweets are cheap words. And what we're actually doing and the actions that we are instilling in the change is what's going to win at the end of the day.
During today's hearing, both sides presented their case. However, there was no set date for a possible decision. In the broadcast center, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News.
The Trump administration rescinded DACA in September, but set a 6-month wind-down time that the president said Congress should use to craft a replacement for DACA. No more, apparently, as Trump says Democrats didn't care or act in time. Cronkite News reporter Shelby Lindsay is in our Washington bureau with the reaction.
President Donald Trump's DACA is dead post was one of many tweets this weekend that touched on immigration reform. One of those tweets was about a caravan of Central American immigrants that is reportedly approaching the U.S. border. Sarah Pierce, policy analyst at the Migration Policy Institute, said those reports are influencing Trump's comments on DACA.
Draw a line to see how border security and this issue about a caravan are related to DACA. Right. But I think that legislative fail of DACA is still fresh in the president's mind.
This morning at the White House Easter egg roll, Trump was not backing down, saying again that Democrats are to blame.
Democrats have really let them down. It's a shame. And now people are taking advantage of DACA, and that's a shame. It should have never happened.
Pili Tobar, managing director for America's Voice, said a lack of bipartisanship isn't the problem.
He spent the weekend at Mar-a-Lago with enough people who told him that he hasn't been able to deliver on all of his anti-immigrant promises, and now he's going around and trying to point fingers at other people.
Petra Falcone, executive director of Promise Arizona, said we have known Trump's stance on keeping DACA since the election. Falcone said her group is pushing through with support from Arizona residents.
Our community out there is hearing what everybody is saying, and undoubtedly they are not paying attention to what the president is saying, especially in a tweet.
Trump has said he will support a deal on DACA if he gets funding for a border wall and border security. But Tobar said he isn't doing any good on either side of the aisle.
But in reality, he's coming out empty-handed. And in the meantime, there's the lives of hundreds of thousands of young immigrants who have DACA and people who could qualify for DACA right now, but that can't apply, who are in limbo.
While the president has declared DACA is dead, the courts have said not so fast. The program was set to end on March 5th, but has been extended for now by courts that are considering challenges to the administration. Live in Washington, Shelby Lindsay, Cronkite News.
The U.S. Supreme Court said today a Tucson police officer cannot be sued for shooting a woman in 2010. Corporal Andrew Casella shot Amy Hughes 4 times after she refused to drop a knife she was holding while in her yard. Lower court sided with Hughes, saying a person has a constitutional right to walk down her driveway holding a knife without being shot, but the Supreme Court said Casella acted reasonably in a situation where he had to make a split-second judgment. In a dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said the decision tells police officers they can shoot first and think later.
Stocks fell on Wall Street today. This is amid President Trump's war of words with Amazon and a possible trade war with China. The Dow closed down 459 points today, and NASDAQ lost 3% of its value. The sell-off on the first day of the second quarter puts all 3 major indices in the red for the year. It came today as President Trump slammed Amazon, and China announced new tariffs on roughly $3 billion worth of U.S. imports in response to Trump's new tariffs on Chinese imports. Arizona Senate Majority Leader Kimberly Yee is hosting trade representatives from Taiwan tomorrow morning. Their visit is tied to a Senate resolution to support trade with Taiwan. The Republic of China is Arizona's 7th largest export market, with nearly $400 million in U.S. exports to Taiwan being generated in Arizona.
Thousands of teachers in Kentucky and Oklahoma ditched their classrooms today to rally at their state capitals. They're demanding for more funding for education in their states. These teachers were inspired by teachers in West Virginia who went on strike and got a pay raise from their state leaders. This movement comes after legislation was passed last week to increase fundings for schools, but some say it's still not enough. Teachers from the states are saying they're calling for their lawmakers to increase funding, not for them, but for the benefit of the students.
Teacher shortages are a big problem for schools across Arizona. At the beginning of this school year, there were nearly 2,000 empty teaching positions that needed to be filled. Reporter Cade Garner took notes on how one group is reaching out to retired teachers to fill the gaps.
I am so proud of you. Abigail, will you walk these around and pass out a kiss to everybody standing, please?
Patricia Matter rewards all her students with chocolate for excellent work. She is preparing her students for the AZ merit testing that is coming up in the next few weeks. Today, it's all about fractions.
And turn mixed numbers into improper fractions.
Matter retired from teaching in Michigan in 2009, but decided to move out to Arizona 2 years ago.
Mind you, I have a retirement already from Michigan, and I was writing, I was pretty happy. But coming back out here, I saw there was a need for teachers.
Finding a teaching job in Arizona didn't just happen on its own. Matter is one of many teachers whom Educational Services, Inc. brings out of retirement to fill vacant teaching positions across the state.
I think the big thing for us is to continue working with school districts not only on the recruiting side, bringing teachers from different colleges around the nation that are trained in education so they're ready to go on day one, but also to partner with our clients and have that collaboration on retention so that teachers that are coming into Arizona are not leaving Arizona.
Retention is easy when teachers are placed in schools they love.
I also love just the students. They have a great attitude. They like to come to school. They like to work, as you can see. I feel like I should be paying the parents, you know? Not really.
Matter praises her students often and does not take anything too seriously. It's this attitude that her students like.
I can cut the toes off and lay them on my desk.
I'm good at it, but sometimes whenever she gets like a problem wrong, she laughs and we all laugh at the same time, stuff like that.
While Matter was happy in retirement, she still got some teaching left in her.
But I could see me doing this another 10 years quite easily. I'm delighted to be back.
In Glendale, Cade Garner, Cronkite News.
This last year, ESI was able to recruit 50 teachers from out of state. The goal is to grow that number by 300% in the upcoming months. Matter says she loves the weather and the students here in the Valley and is happy to be teaching once again. 911 is the number kids are taught to memorize to call in case of an emergency.
But what if speaking out loud puts you in more danger? Coming up on Cronkite News, how a new text 911 emergency service coming to the Valley may help those in a similar situation.
Plus, a new hope for some Arizona families who struggle to pay their bills. How Trump's new budget plan will help financially support these families with federal programs.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Technology is making it easier for those in imminent danger and with disabilities to call for help with the text to 911 service. Reporter Imani Stevens explains how this is making an impact.
Call if you can, but text if you can't.
There are situations where you may not be in a position to call for help, or you may have a disability that makes talking to a dispatcher difficult. Now you can text 911 instead.
Capability can be useful to anyone who can't speak out loud without putting themselves in danger, such as a homeowner hiding in a closet. Think about an active shooter situation where people are trying to contact rescuers without announcing their location.
People who have not been able to text 911 before this, they have texted us emergencies on our non-emergency text messaging.
The service does not pick up your location, and you'll have to type in exactly where you are. But texting 911 will allow those with disabilities to reach emergency help faster.
I do live in the Sun City Grand community where there are over 50 deaf senior citizens.
And Norbert Enos, who spoke to us through a translator because he is deaf, tested this service before it launched.
I was able to text to the system and I got a very quick reply.
The operator will ask questions and give instructions.
We have never had that texting option. We've always had to depend on hearing neighbors to make those phone calls for us in those crisis situations. To be able to do that independently is critical. We needed other access to 911. If I'm pulled over on the highway, I wouldn't have had any way to contact 911 until this system was implemented.
Officials say that the operators are trained to multitask and respond to multiple text messages at a time.
The deaf community, the speech impaired community, the hard of hearing community, they have not had access to the 911 system at all.
Working for this statewide and hoping that all the states in the United States implement this system very soon.
As of now, the service does not work with group text messages and language translation. In Phoenix, Imani Stevens, Cronkite News.
The text to 911 service is now available for those in emergency situations throughout the Maricopa County.
Some people can't afford to pay rent or their electricity bills, and many of those get help from federal programs. Cronkite News reporter Madison Miller explains how President Trump's new budget will support dozens of Arizona families who struggle financially.
Gail Williams is the mother of a 5-year-old boy and relied on a federal grant through the annual Leave Mesa Camp program to help pay some living expenses. She is now on the board and is relieved funding for other families will continue under President Trump's 2019 budget.
Turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I really got a lot of help with Mesa Camp, and I was able to get rental and utility assistance to really get me back on my feet.
President Trump's proposed budget for rental and utility assistance in community block grant programs has been facing elimination as being low performing or ineffective. But the final budget restored $28 million to state and federal programs, such as A New Leaf. The nonprofit has 12 locations throughout Arizona.
Helping families with utility assistance, rental assistance. We help with weatherization programs, financial wellness programs. We have workforce development, and any additional referrals that local Mesa residents may need.
Williams says the step-up provided by the grant to A New Leaf will lead to a better future for her and her son, Mateo.
I want to look to maybe purchasing a house, getting more financially stable. I really want to utilize the financial coaching through New Leaf.
In Phoenix, Madison Miller, Cronkite News.
A New Leaf director, Eva Felix, said the next step is to convince political leaders to extend funds for community block grants beyond 2019. They are working to send a letter of resolution to Congress.
Stress can have a huge impact on your body.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how to better your health by improving your living situation.
Plus, we're tracking how high your temperatures will go in this work week warm-up.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. Join us each weekday at 5:30 and 10 as we bring you the top newsmakers who impact the state. We cover the stories in depth that shape and affect our local communities, and we take the time to ensure that all voices are equally heard. For more than 30 years, Arizona Horizon has been your voice and your source for what matters most, right here on Arizona PBS.
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
A new analysis of the Clean Energy for a Healthy Arizona ballot proposal finds that the measure would have devastating effects on the Arizona economy. The analysis comes from the Seidman Research Institute at ASU. The initiative would require public utilities obtain at least half of their power from renewable resources by 2030, which environmentalists find important to Arizona. Between now and 2060, the analysis found the proposed ballot initiative would cost the Arizona economy an estimated 547,000 job years over the 43-year term of the study, $72.5 billion in gross state product, $42.5 billion in disposable personal income, $5.8 billion in combined tax revenues, which includes an estimated $1.7 billion in reduced property tax, most of which would come from K-12 school districts.
Toxic stress can have a huge impact on a person's health. This kind of stress is a long-term effect of the struggle of making ends meet. People with low incomes are hit the hardest by toxic stress. Some forms of cancer, heart disease are genetically wired into the body. The development of this illness can be triggered by toxic stress. Research shows stress can have a physical toll on the immune system. One study found children who are born into poverty have weakened immune systems and are more likely to get infections as adults.
They've put cold viruses in the noses of college students, and you can tell whether or not they're actually going to get a cold based on whether their families rented their house or owned their homes as children.
Dr. Doug Judy says the impact of toxic stress doesn't have to be permanently harming the health. It's a predisposition. The effect of toxic harm can be generally reduced if a person's financial situation has been stabilized, like moving into a better neighborhood.
You can tell April in Arizona has arrived.
Matt Kling is tracking our higher temperatures in the Weather Center.
89 degrees today for a high, a few degrees above average, and the temps are only going to go up right here at this hour. 89 right here in Phoenix, up in Sun City, 84 degrees, 82 over in Peoria, 85 in Deer Valley. If you're heading to Chase Field tonight here in downtown Phoenix, 84 degrees, should be a clear night. The roof will be open. The temps will drop into the 70s. Should be a good night to go catch the D-backs play the Dodgers when you wake up tomorrow morning. 60 degrees when you take the kids to the bus stop, and it'll warm up into the 80s throughout the afternoon. And tomorrow will be the coolest day for the next few days. 87 high, 90-degree temperatures the rest of the week. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Matt Kling.
From twirling golf clubs to twirling batons at a world championship competition.
Coming up on Cronkite News, we talk with this 16-year-old to find out how his passion led him to the big leagues.
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
Have you ever twirled a pen in your hand or rolled a baseball bat in your hands while waiting for your turn at the plate?
Well, for one Valley 16-year-old, killing time with a golf club led him to the national stage without even setting a ball on the tee.
Cronkite sports reporter Chaz Frazier takes us for a whirl with this wannabe world champ.
Once I get out there and hear everyone, they start chanting my name and stuff, it all goes away once that first beat of the music starts.
This is Cody Carter, or better known as Cody the Twirler.
What I love so much about twirling is I feel like it's kind of like an escape from everything else. Like when I'm twirling, it feels like the whole world around me just stops and it's just me and the baton.
At just 16 years old, Carter has accomplished what some spend a lifetime chasing. His unique talents have taken him to Switzerland and Italy to compete for baton world championships. However, with one quick YouTube search, you can easily find his favorite accomplishment so far.
I think my proudest moment was being on America's Got Talent, actually, because I feel like that was the opportunity to share my talent on the biggest stage in America with everyone.
Once he knew he was on the show, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so unbelievable. It was the most incredible experience we've ever been through.
A lot of people ask me, like, how do you know when to catch it? But it's kind of engraved in my brain where I don't even need to think about it. I just catch it at the right time.
While it's easy to be mesmerized by Carter's baton hand tricks, it's actually his incorporation of hip-hop.
Here's one of them. I do this.
That will really catch your eye.
I do a thing called a coin drop, so I bounce it off the ground and then catch it, go down and come back up. It's called the SpongeBob, so I go.
After watching Cody dance and twirl at the same time, I had to see if twirling was actually as hard as it looks.
So so close. One, and then two.
So.
Two.
Look, see, that I quit.
There you go. There's one trick, you're a natural.
Now, don't let the tape fool you. Unlike me, Carter is the epitome of a natural. But it's the way that he started twirling that may leave you scratching your head.
We used to take actually Cody to golf class starting at the age of 7. So we'd bring him to golf class. He had his golf clubs ready to go. And actually, I was teaching chipping, and he stood there and he was twirling his 7-iron as opposed to actually hitting the chip shots.
Thought I was just gonna play golf and then to do this thing that I didn't even know what it was at the time, and then to go so far with it was just crazy.
And the twirling on the fairway was just the beginning. After Carter's parents discovered his gift, it wasn't long after until they took some action.
One of the students in the golf class said, we got this baton coach at our school. They gave us, we called her up and arranged a lesson, thinking, okay, this is a one-time thing. And we go to the lesson, and he was doing like 2-year tricks right off the bat.
And now the medalist has his eyes set on one thing, and that's leaving a mark in Norway at his upcoming competition with the USA World Team.
The ultimate goal is to bring back 3 gold medals.
Young and on a mission, Cody the Twirler is going after it all. In Phoenix, Chaz Frazier, Cronkite Sports.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, Congresswoman and Senate candidate Kirsten Sinema will join us in studio, and we'll take a look at the latest methods to treat and prevent Alzheimer's disease. That's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour. Our Politics Monday team follows the latest developments in the Trump administration. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.